I'm Mark Adams and welcome to the first episode of Marksmess Podcast. In this podcast I will be joined by my two co-hosts, Charlotte and Catherine, who will probably giggle her whole way through this. But this is a chance for me, as their father, to discuss with them all things geekery, whether it's X-Men, Star Wars, or some of the books that they've been reading themselves. And to do this, to help us through this, we're going to use the alphabet. So this episode is episode
A.
If you're one of the people who've come over from my other podcasts, you will know that you can get in touch with us by emailing mymarksmess@gmail.com, on Twitter @marksmesspodcast without the T, on the webpage marksmesspodcast.blogspot.com, or on Facebook at Marksmess Podcasts. So do pop along, send us a bit of feedback, and let us know whether it's worth my while trying to get these girls to be quiet long enough so we can actually podcast. Okay, so girls, we are starting with the letter A, and we could have things like A Long Time Ago in the Galaxy Far, Far Away, which is from
Star Wars.
We could have the Atom from...
The what?
The Atom, he's a superhero from the DC universe.
An atom
So basically a copy of Ant-Man.
Is also
I think it's the other way about.
wait, no, it's an atom or something. Atom. I don't know. It's like nuclear or something.
Yeah, an atom is one of the smallest things.
And then you break it in half, then it goes kaboom!
Yes, it is. I'm a wee bit worried that they're being taught that in primary school.
Yes, we are.
How to build a bomb. We will do that. We've all brought something along that we feel is a wee bit geekery, so let's start with myself. The one I brought along, you can have many things from comic book history, but I think let's go for Ant-Man. Charlotte, you were with me last year when we went to see Ant-Man in the movie theatre. Had you ever come across the character before?
He was on the Avengers cartoon a couple of times.
Yes, the modern one or the one before that? Which cartoon?
Is there a modern one?
Well, there's one that's on TV now, and there's one I got
It's not
DVD.
recording.
No, there's one that... You know the last one we recorded for TV?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Right, was he on that?
I think one or two episodes.
One or two episodes. He was one of the main characters in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the DVD set I got for Christmas, and he was a big character in that. In the movie, you've got two Ant-Men. You've got Hank Pym, who's the old guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and then you've got Scott Lang, who's the younger one. Story of Ant-Man goes back to 1962, to the monster comics that Marvel published in those days. These comics would contain one story of alien monsters, things from the deep, mad scientists bent on defeating humanity, all these types of stories. And one story in Tales to Astonish number 27 had a scientist who is Hank Pym, who created a system that shrinks him only for him to be chased by giant ants and other bugs. After the success of superheroes in Marvel Comics, it was decided to turn Hank Pym into a superhero. So Ant-Man was born, and soon he would get a glamorous assistant of the Wasp, and he helped found the Avengers. But Ant-Man wasn't a very powerful superhero, and Hank Pym soon became Giant Man, increasing his size. Then he became Goliath, and then he became Yellow Jacket. A Yellow Jacket is kind of a type of a wasp. That meant that there was no Ant-Man. For Marvel to keep the name Ant-Man, they had to have an ongoing character. A man called Scott Lang became the second Ant-Man, and he did that by stealing the outfit of Ant-Man to save his daughter. A wee bit like the movie had, and the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon had a very good adaptation of that. Scott Lang would continue to be Ant-Man until his death, where he stopped being Ant-Man. You know, death does that.
Yeah.
Later on, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent became the irredeemable Ant-Man until he died. So being Ant-Man isn't very good for you.
What agent was it?
You wouldn't know him. It was Eric O'Grady. And you wouldn't know that because it was fairly recent. I never really read any of those. Maybe the next time I'm on Marvel Unlimited, I will get them. Ant-Man was one of the many legacy characters of Marvel. A legacy character it's like a superhero whose identity is passed down. You have got DC.
The Blue Beetle.
The Blue Beetle is a fantastic example because he was a 1940s, 50s character, like a detective. Then he became sort of more a scientist superhero, and now he's a teenager with some sort of super scarab on his back. So quite a good example of that.
It was because the lab exploded and then the scarab attached to, can't remember what you call him, his back.
I can't remember what you call them either.
No.
Yeah, but that's good. So can you think of any other Marvel heroes that have got more than one person behind?
Wonder.
Avengers.
Well, which Avenger? There's plenty of teams of Avengers.
Uh,
Name an Avenger.
America Man.
America Man, or as we like to call him, Captain America. You've seen the movie. It was called Captain America.
I know, but Captain starts with C.
But we don't have to be strict with the alphabet. Captain America has been several people. In the comics at the moment, it is the Falcon is actually Captain America.
What?
Yeah, in the comics. Yeah, it's weird. That's why I don't read modern comics. Changes too much. I don't like change. Get off my lawn. So later on, we're going to do one of the stories I have of Ant-Man, and it's Ant-Man going into another superhero's body to save him.
Oh yeah, I think I watched a cartoon of that.
Right?
Ant-Man,
Really?
Ant-Man, and I think it was some scientist guy. They
Uh-huh.
went into the body of... No, it was a shrinking guy and they went into the body of Batman.
Batman?
It was a shrinking guy, I don't
Right, that would be
the
the Atom that we talked about. But that's in the DC movie. Let's stick with the Marvel Universe. So that's my bringing to the table. So, what?
Because Batman had the flu.
He had the flu. I get the flu, I just go to bed. Can he not do that?
But Batman's a superhero.
Well, he hasn't got any powers, so he's not superhero.
Batman's a gadget hero, so he can't do that.
Yes, I like that. Gadget hero. I'm Gadget Hero Man.
And
Okay.
Batman has to meet Scooby-Doo.
Yes, because we watched that last night. Or one of them.
It's mostly Scooby-Doo.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, that was the one I brought, the Ant-Man one. Now, Catherine, what are we talking about for your A of geekery?
Almost naked animals.
Almost Naked Animals. This is a cartoon series, and that's on one of our children's free channels,
CITV.
CITV. It is a Canadian cartoon.
Is it?
Yeah, it's from Canada. The guy who came up with it was a Canadian, Noah Z. Jones. Tell us, what is it about? If people out there have never seen it, what is it about?
It's about a dog called... I don't know how you explain. It's either
Howie. He's Howie.
That, and then he is a manager of a hotel, and there's also Bunny, who is activities director, Peggy, who's the cook, Sloth, who takes in the bags and stuff like that, Narwhal, who is a singer,
Octo.
and Octo, who is the
Receptionist.
receptionist person.
Right.
Well, octopus.
And all these animals, it's not just that they're almost
And duck.
naked. And duck.
And duck.
It's not just-
He's a handy animal.
Not...
A handy duck.
Okay.
But he's not very handy that much, because he just... I remember once he made a giant can, and then he made a giant can... Wait, no. He made a giant can opener. So he made a giant can to test a giant can opener.
Okay. I know, it suits her personality. Right, explain me this. Right, they're not just almost naked, but they've got their fur off and their feathers off, depending on what creature they are. Yeah, they've got no fur or feathers.
They have.
They haven't. You look at them, you can see.
They have.
You look at Duck and tell me he's got fur.
Wait, no, he hasn't.
Well,
He hasn't.
feathers. He hasn't got
But all
feathers.
the other ones have.
No, I
Wait, let's look up a picture
Let's
of
look up
them.
a picture of them. This is live. But also, they wear underwear.
Yes, they do.
Oh, dear me.
And sometimes they wear, like, little t-shirt things. Not t-shirts, but...
Vests.
No, not vests.
Vests, that's what you call them.
No, like... You know the way that girls with swimming suits and then they'd have, like, little top bits? They always
Bikini?
don't- Yeah.
Look, they're all shaved.
No,
Look, they're
right.
shaved.
Bring that picture up.
Yes, they're shaved. They've got no fur.
Hair.
No,
Those little things are hair.
that's stubble. That's what I get when I haven't shaved for a day or two.
That is hair.
That is not. Even the octopus has got stubble.
Hair.
But it's not hair. Or it's not like. It's like if you took Scooby and you shaved him.
By the way, that is not a vest.
Well, then no, that's a tan line.
It's
That's a farmer's tan.
It's hair.
It's a tamla, but it's like it's stubble. It's after you shave someone and your hair grows for 5 minutes. It's just
Hair.
okay. Right, tell us, gentle listener, why you like it,
Because it's funny.
and anything else?
Because it always does different things, but you never know what it's going to do.
Yeah, it's a bit madcap. I sometimes watch it while I'm reading very important grown-up books, just over the top of the book. You have it on in the background, that type of thing. The characters are very well defined. Each one has a different character. If I say Narwhal,
He's selfish, kind of.
okay,
Because he always goes like, ooh, I'm so pretty. Ooh, I need to get a ton.
very good. What about the Bat, who's
Batty.
probably called Batty? Yes.
Yes. He's
Very well thought out
Poodle's
names.
evil minion.
He's Poodle's evil minion. Who's Poodle?
Can you guess what animal
He's
Poodle is?
Howie's evil sister.
Evil sister.
Can you guess what?
And,
So does that mean Harry's a poodle?
no, he's a dog.
So he's a poodle.
And she doesn't hardly have any guests, so she plans to take over Howie's hotel.
Right. How long's episodes? About 20 minutes?
15 minutes.
15 minutes each.
And my favourite character is Duck,
Why Duck?
because he's funny.
Okay, Almost Naked Animals. We'll leave it there for that. If you see it on your local children's
Watch
cartoon network, Catherine highly recommends it. And she's actually staring at the microphone to try and get you to do it. Okay, this is an audio medium. It doesn't work staring. I don't know what the verbal equivalent of staring is, but we'll soon find out. Charlotte, what have you? We've had Ant-Man, we've had Almost Naked Animals. What have you brought to the mix?
I will hypnotise you.
The book Awful Auntie by David Williams.
Right, and you are a big fan of David Williams.
Not as much as Jacqueline Wilson.
Jacqueline Wilson's a great fan of David Williams. Okay. Charlotte, both of the girls are very big into reading, which I'm very proud of them for, and Charlotte is very big into Jacqueline Wilson, which we'll probably get to in the J's or the W's, but she's not really geeky. She's more factual fiction, if you like. But David Williams is a wee bit overboard. If you've heard of David Williams before, it's probably for his comedy, where he is one of the duo who does Little Britain, or he's
Britain's Got Talent.
He's one of the judges in Britain's Got Talent. Tell us about some of the other books David Williams has written.
He's written Awful Auntie, The Demon Dentist, Gangster Granny, Mr. Sting, Billionaire Boy, and Grandpa's Great Escape, and The Boy in the Dress.
Right, so he's written quite a few.
Pretty sure that's all.
They're all aimed at children, and what is it about his writing that you both like?
It's really funny.
Yeah. Now the BBC...
And it's quite easy to read.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not like...
And it's easier to understand.
Yeah, I think, what was the one we did with you's bedtime for a
Boy in the
while?
Dress.
The Boy in the Dress. It was easy to read out loud as well.
Billionaire Boy.
And Billionaire Boy. Also, the BBC have done dramas of them, or productions of them at
Movies.
Christmas. They've done... It started with Mr. Stink.
Mr. Stink,
Boy in
then
the
it was
Dress.
The Boy in the Dress, then it was Billionaire Boy.
Next year, Christmas of 2016, it's Awful
This
Auntie.
year! This year!
Next Christmas, it will be Awful Auntie, the BBC will do. So quite
Really?
good. Really?
Yeah.
That'll be
I know.
really good.
Right, tell us about this book.
Well, in most of David Williams' books, there's a shop called Raj's Shop, and the shop owner is called Raj. But in this book, since it's set in the olden days, what time? Like the Victorians or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Then Raj isn't in it because he wouldn't have been alive then. So at the end of the book, there is a letter. I'll read it out.
Of complaint.
A letter of complaint from Raj, the shop owner. It says, "Dear reader, let me introduce myself. My name is Raj and I run a newsagent shop. I am well known for my excellent special offers." He has weird and wacky offers. Just today I am selling 17 bottles of lemonade for the price of 18. So far I have a starring role in all 6 of David Williams's, yes, that really is his name, books. The Boy in the Sari was the first, followed by Mr. Smell, Millionaire Man, Granny the Gangster, Rat Nugget, and finally, Demon Dental Hygienist. This is not part of the letter, but Raj, he makes up weird things
That
aren't true. And his offers, you can...
Offers?
Offers.
Offers.
I said author.
OFFERS.
In his news agent are especially weird. Back to the letter. Now imagine my surprise when I read this latest effort, Naughty Auntie, to find out that I, Raj, have been completely left out. Personally, I thought the book was very boring, as it was all set in the olden days. Who cares? Rubbish. I much prefer Ronald Dahl.
Ronald Dahl?
That's what
Okay.
he wrote. Being completely left out of this book made me furious. So furious, in fact, that I crushed a piece of fudge with my bare hands. I know, very manly. Most children who come into my shop tell me they only read Mr. Willybums, or whatever his stupid name is, books because I, Raj, have a starring role in them. There is a growing army of Raj fans, or Rajophiles, as they have become known. Like me, they skim through all the tedious bits to find the chapter I am in. Therefore, I am asking you to join me in signing the petition over the page, stating that I, Raj, will be reinstated in his next book. I have also written to the Prime Minister and the Queen, both of whom wrote me very nice letters back, requesting I do never contact them again. If Mr. Winklebottoms, he may as well be called that, has any sense, which I doubt, he will listen to me and the billions of Rajophiles around the world. Yours angrily, Raj. P.S. The piece of fudge I crushed in my bare hand is available to buy in my shop at half price.
Back to my question. What's the book about? Why is it a geek book?
Because it's extremely funny and it has like ghosts in it. It's about the awful Auntie Alberta, her 3 siblings, Herbert, the baby, Lord Chester Saxby, Lady Emily Saxby, and their child Stella.
So Stella's the one who calls her auntie.
Yes. And in the book there is a ghost.
Catherine, this is one of your favourite books as well, because you're a big David Walliams fan. Right, girls, thank you very much for bringing your offerings, and I'm sure the listeners will love to know about that and maybe even try it out themselves. And it's good to know that you continue on. Next time we record it will be B, so maybe that next time you can actually write some notes about it, so you know.
What should I do for B?
I don't know. What we're doing. We're doing.
I don't know whether to do Banana Man or the Bash Street Kids.
Right. Shall we get rid of this first? We're going to have a break where we'll play somebody else's promo of a podcast that I do enjoy, and when we're back, we'll do a synopsis of an Ant-Man comic. Well, half an Ant-Man comic, because it's quite a long one, and he only appears in half of it. So we'll see you in a minute.
Guys, we finally developed our time machine. Should we use it to go back and see how Stonehenge was built?
Or become friends with Hitler and convince him to stay in art school.
Or we could go back in time and get the comic books we missed. Yeah! The Comic Book Time Machine. A journey back in time to explore comic books. Good and bad. Whether from 7 decades ago or 7 days ago. Join our journey at comicbooktimemachine.com.
Justice League International, Bwahaha Podcast, a new monthly show chronicling the adventures of the JLI era by Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis. We'll be going issue by issue in release order, tackling the core Justice League title, Justice League Europe, and the quarterly book. Along the way, we'll take time out for special episodes covering various spin-offs, cartoon appearances, the infamous TV pilot, and much more. So join me in an ever-changing roster of guest hosts as we celebrate your favorite JLI members, such as
Martian Manhunter,
Batman,
Dr. Fate,
Black Canary,
Fire,
Ice,
Maxwell Lord,
Oberon,
Captain Marvel,
Rocket Red,
Captain Atom,
Mr. Miracle,
Guy Gardner,
Booster Gold,
Blue Beetle,
Nort,
and many, many more. Justice League International, Bwahaha Podcast, coming March 2016 as part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Want to make something of it?
The Fantastic Arse is your guide to the Fantastic Four from the beginning of the Marvel Age of Comics in 1961 onwards.
Each week, Steve Lacey and Andy Leyland cover every issue, spin-off, guest appearance and cameo, and more.
And in 2015, we begin our journey through the decade that taste forgot, the 1970s.
Join us as we take a look at
the departure of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee,
the Kree-Skrull War,
the arrival of Marvel Team-Up,
Bill Murray as the Human Torch,
creators including Roy Thomas, George Perez, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Conway, Rich Buckler and John Byrne,
and of course, Marvel 2-in-1.
All this and more at ffcast.libsyn.com and on iTunes and Stitcher.
The Fantastic Cast.
Insert catchy tagline here. Wait, what?
And we're back. Are you sitting comfortably?
Probably.
Then we'll begin with our story. This is from Avengers number 93, The Beachhead Earth. I'm reading this from Marvel's finest, Avengers, the Kree-Skrull War, and it's part of that. So we've got a cover of the Avengers fighting the Fantastic Four with the Vision lying on the ground and the Scarlet Witch that seem to be all defeated. We find out that it is edited by Stan Lee. The writer is Roy Thomas. Roy Thomas is quite an interesting history. Roy Thomas took over from Stan Lee in quite a few comics: X-Men, Avengers, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Fantastic Four. And he was a writer on Conan the Barbarian for about 10 years, so quite an accomplished writer. The artist is Neil Adams, and you know he's cool because he's an Adams. He's quite famous in the 70s for drawing things like Batman and people like that. Anyway, we start with Iron Man, Captain America and Thor in a room when the Vision bursts in. The Vision stumbles and asks the Avengers for help. The three heroes wonder if the Vision is dead when they hear a voice. They cannot figure out where the voice is from until a magnifying glass pops out from the wall and they see Ant-Man, the Hank Pym Ant-Man, which surprises the Avengers because at the moment he's using the Yellow Jacket identity and he's not being Giant Man either. And we can just conclude from this that Neil Adams just wanted to draw Ant-Man. He talks about how Vision is an android and he's made by Ultron, who Hank Pym had made. So technically speaking, Hank Pym kind of created Vision. So then we start in an amazing journey, and part 2, the title is A Journey to the Center of the Android. So Ant-Man crawls inside the Vision along with his faithful ants called Crosby, Stills and Nash. During this time in history, Crosby, Stills and Nash were a pop group, and the first thing that Ant-Man hits is the first trap, where tentacles from Vision's throat come up and grab Ant-Man and his ants. One of the ants, that's Crosby, gets killed, and Ant-Man feels that he has to protect the other two, so he throws them out of the Vision and tells them to go away while he deals with all the things. The tentacles prove to Ant-Man that Vision is not destroyed, so he heads for the artificial brain. But unfortunately, he falls down a hole into the chest cavity. And this is where he hits trap number 2. Ant-Man touches one of the intangible bubbles, and he finds his hand has gone. Things he cannot hold anything in his hand. His hand, will go through. Not just transparent, but nothing will hold. If you were intangible,
a ghost hand.
Ghost hand. That's it. That's a good one. That's a good way of explaining it.
It's like a hologram hand.
Yes, that's good. And you could walk through walls if you were intangible. Okay, like Kitty Pryde.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Like the person you're named after.
Yes. The Catherine is named after. Then he hits trap number 3, which are these flying metal plates that he seems to think they are like the blood's antibodies. In you've got 2 different types of...
Like the white blood cells.
Like the white blood cells. Did you see that written here?
No.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
Blimey, they're teaching a lot in school these days. So he runs away from these flying metal plates in case he gets covered in them, and he uses the intangible bubbles to run through a wall and into a feeder tube, and that way he gets away from these things. Finally, he gets to the brain of the Vision, finds one loose wire, replaces it, and escapes from the antibodies by going into the nasal cavity and then
the
out
nose?
through the your nose, then out through the mouth. Your nose and your mouth are connected.
That's why when you get a cold and you sniff, then sometimes the snot goes down the back of your throat.
Yes, exactly.
It's disgusting.
Or tasty. No, disgusting. Yes, definitely disgusting. So Ant-Man leaves the Vision's body and he says, well, I'm out of here, I'm away, and that's him out of this story. One thing this shows is how small Ant-Man can get. I've never actually read any Ant-Man comics are a bit like this, but it goes on to have the Vision explain how he was injured by 3 cows in a field. Yeah, that's how it's done. There's also a sort of follow-up to this story where the Vision has to go inside Ant-Man's body in Avengers 140. Well, he's not only Ant-Man, he's also a giant man. He sort of started growing, and the Beast has to come up with a formula to heal him from that. And the Vision's the only one who can go intangible and go inside his body.
What's tangible?
Intangible, like a ghost. So that is the end of our journey through the A of geekery. I'm sure there are people out there who are shouting out, well, why didn't you do? Well, something else beginning with A. If you do feel that way, do email us with mymarksmess@gmail.com, on Twitter @marksmesspodcast without the T, the webpage marksmesspodcast.blogspot.com, Facebook Marksmess Podcasts. Thanks to Josh Woodward from joshwoodward.com for the title music. Any ending words, young ladies?
That's not words.
That's not words. Anything? See you in the next letter of the alphabet. How about that as a closing thing? We could do every time. No? Next time we'll be doing the letter B when we get together, for baby, for boisterous,
For bum.
Okay, just say goodbye to our listener.
Bavard.
Bavard.
Bavard?
Bavard.
What's that?
Talkative.
Is that French? Oh right. See, you learn different things here.
Adios.
You really want people to go, don't you?
Goodbye.
Okay, Catherine. Okay, Catherine, say goodbye to our listener. Charlotte, say goodbye.
Au revoir.
Goodbye, and thank you for listening to Marksmess Podcast.
Da, 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 da.